welcome back to the DSS Break. It's great to have you guys with us here today. If you're new, welcome. And if you're returning, thanks so much for tuning back in. I'm Anna Anderson, the founder of Data Science Salon, and today I'm streaming directly from our headquarters, which is beautifully located in the heart of Miami, right next to the Design District. And we're here live every week to discuss the world of data science, machine learning, and AI in a short 15-minute break, and we chat with unique leading data professionals and other unique individuals that are experts. And we keep it in a 15-minute break. And today I'm really excited to welcome Christine Galib, Director Advancing Photonics Technologies at Princeton University. And Dr. Christine Galib is an early stage startup advisor, author, and a strategic ecosystem builder with extensive experience in wealth management, investing, and entrepreneurship. And Christine is also an avid reader and explorer of the road less traveled, and she brings a wealth of knowledge and insights to today's discussion. And thank you so much for joining me, Christine. I'm really looking forward to this discussion. And thank you so much also for helping us build such a great schedule for the second day of DSS Austin. We couldn't have done that without you. So thank you. It's going to be an amazing day. So yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, Anna, thank you so much, because it's your vision that has brought Data Science Salon to life. It's Tyler, it's the team, you are a phenomenal force for something truly magical. And one of my biggest kind of mantras in life is good magic and great people, and you fit both of those categories. So it is my pleasure to be here. Hello to everyone joining us for today. We have so much to cover. I want to find all the reactions so I can applaud and send sparkles and just underscore everything Anna is saying. The Data Science Salon is just next week in Austin. And so we have a packed agenda, phenomenal thought leaders, and it's going to be a great time. So Anna, thank you so much for having me here.
No, thank you, Christine. That's so sweet. And the feeling is completely mutual, so I feel like it's awesome to collaborate with you. And before we dive in, I would love to get to know you a little bit better and get to know about your journey of how you ended up in the VC in the first place.
Oh my gosh, this is like the most nonlinear journey. And you used the word unique a couple times in the intro. And I was like, yeah, if there's one thing I really am, it's unique, because my journey has kind of taken me all over the place, from building a wealth management team on Wall Street early on for my first career as an English and medieval historian. So maybe that's a little too much. I studied English and medieval history. I've written pretty extensively on a lot of the themes from the 15th century, but bringing that back up to where we are now in the 21st century, I've had a career in education, entrepreneurship. I spent a lot of my time up here in the Northeast, but also spent just about a decade down in Houston, building out the ION and the ION Innovation District. You'll hear a little bit more about that in a week at the Data Science Salon, but really thinking through, what does it mean to scale ecosystems? And how do you do that? By bringing the right people to the right table at the right time. And it's this sum of rights that really catalyzes how we think about ecosystem building and innovation. And to your question about venture capital, I've always kind of been involved in venture capital in some way or another. Had the chance just about a year ago to participate in Venture University's program and then support them as well by bringing key fireside chat experts on to share their thought leadership. But really thinking through how we educate the next generation of venture capitalists, because if you're like me, you really didn't learn this stuff in kindergarten, right? This was not something we talked about in kindergarten. And so I think it's important to have that type of literacy, not just the investing in wealth management, but also to realize that with venture capital, you not only have the almost supreme responsibility and privilege, let's just say, of helping other people really create the future. And that's the coolest thing to me. So I think I'll leave it at that, because I think we'll come back to venture capital a little bit later in our conversation.
Yeah, so I think then that's a great story, and I love how it's different. And I also kind of got me thinking about, like, is there really like a track for venture capital in universities? I
Oh
don't
my
think
gosh.
there is, right?
I
Like,
love that you asked that question. Yeah, how do you train up venture capitalists? A lot of people go and get their MBA
mhm,
after university, right? It's a master's program. It's not, you could study business in undergrad for sure, but a lot of people go on to get their MBA and then they say, all right, I'll spend a couple years in banking to get that, M&A or kind of iBanking experience. And then they kind of go into venture capital. The skills kind of translate, right? I mean, you can read an Excel spreadsheet, you can make an Excel spreadsheet. Venture capital, obviously, and so is getting your MBA, is so much more than numbers.
right.
It's understanding people, it's applying empathy, it's trying to figure out, how do you create the future. There is no real kind of checkbox training program for that because you just have to do it. And so Venture University which has global offices, headquartered in San Francisco,
Yep.
but then has global offices, really gives you the hands-on experience because you're on deal teams, you're on the frontier tech team, you're on the healthcare team, you're on the consumer team, and you get to diligence every startup. You get 1,200 startups that you're looking at in over the span of 3 months, right? So
That's a lot of startups. That's like,
it's a lot of startups, but this is what we do every single day. You're ingesting right. You see a pitch deck, I'm spending 10 seconds on it, right? I'm not kind of doing the deep dive that maybe I should be, but the volume of great ideas in the world, I think that's the thrilling part, right? I want every great idea to come to me so I can know about it. And if I'm not going to, kind of advance it, maybe I have a friend who will. Maybe I have a friend and, that's their thing and it's just not my thing, right?
yeah, exactly. No, that makes a lot of sense. And now let's get back to your background. And really, I think there must be an advantage of, your background in wealth management. How has that influenced your approach to advising startups and entrepreneurs and investing?
That's such a thoughtful question. And truly, it's this kind of cross-pollinated, very non-traditional background that I think makes me a better startup advisor. It certainly gives me a different set of questions to ask, right? Because I'm the kid in the room. I don't have the technical experience that a lot of my founders do, and I'll never have that. And I don't want that. I want
That's
them to
okay.
have the
Yeah,
technical experience,
exactly.
right? I want to be able to say, all right, you're creating value. Have you thought about really what your North Star is, right? Portfolio management, you're obviously trying to maximize return. You're also trying to diversify your portfolio, right? You're trying to make sure that if you're going to get, a 10x in one investment, maybe the market is going to not perform as well in a different category and you're going to pick that up by getting a 40x in another investment. I think it's really important for our conversation and for those listening, we don't have a crystal ball. And I think a lot of people, want to say, well, I have a crystal ball, I know the future. And I don't know about you, but my headlights don't see that far, right? Like I don't, I can't predict way far out into the future. Certainly the past couple of weeks, it's like I barely know what I'm doing in an hour.
Even the Simpsons could have predicted that.
You're absolutely right. I take it all back. The Simpsons predicted all of this 20, 30 years ago when we actually had like TV sets, right? That were
Yes, exactly.
right, like flat screen TVs, which is also photonics, and we'll get to that. But to your point, you're building a portfolio, and just like you're kind of diversifying your assets in your portfolio, you're also thinking about your startup not just as an investment in someone else's portfolio, right? But also as your own asset. And so you obviously want it to perform well. So that's kind of one answer to that question. The other answer is that my experience on Wall Street, you were building a team. And
Yep.
I think we don't really talk enough about what it looks like to build a successful team because let's face it, I said this earlier, there are a million plus ad infinitum great ideas in this world. Ideas are pretty cheap. Who is the team that is
Yes.
going to execute that idea? Right? A lot of founders, they come up to me. It's like, okay, sign this NDA, sign this, sign that. I'm not going to sign an NDA because I'm too dumb to go and take your idea and like try to do anything with it. Right? Like I'm really not. But I'm going to use kind of my network to supercharge your idea and your team.
Right.
One of the biggest tools in your toolkit as an entrepreneur, because it's not a solo sport, is your team.
Yes.
My Wall Street experience gave me the chance to build a team that actually brought an idea from up in someone's mind to products in the market, right?
Yeah, no, that's really cool. I think that's very, irreplaceable pretty much, so. And let's talk a little bit about your, ecosystem building experience and skills, and why is it really crucial for startups in today's tech landscape to be able to, understand how that all works?
Another thoughtful question. I want to give you a shout out because you've done a really good job at creating ecosystems around data science, not just in Miami, not just in Austin, not just on the West Coast, but also on the East Coast. And so I think there's, when you think about ecosystem, if you're like me, you think about that diagram we learned in like third grade or fourth grade science, right? With like the fish that is eaten by the shark, is eaten by the, et cetera, right? It's a system of systems. And whenever there are a system of systems, there's infinite potential to pretty much supercharge whatever it is you want to do. You just have to know what that magic wand is to then catalyze that entire system of systems to work for you, right? So as an entrepreneur building a startup, you're resource limited, right? You're maybe bootstrapping, you don't have exactly everything you need, but you can participate in systems of systems, in ecosystems. And in doing that, you exponentially outsize your whole framework for doing business. So you can get to a product faster, you can get to investment faster, you can get to a brand faster. You shorten the time it takes you to get your idea to market. And if there's all the things startups don't have, right? Time is one of the biggest things.
Yeah, no, and I agree. And I feel like, as also somebody that builds ecosystems, I feel like, it takes a lot of time to do that as well. And I feel like
Yes.
sometimes startups don't have that, right? So they kind of need to find ecosystems to join, right?
Time and intention.
Yes,
And
exactly. Yeah.
that you're also very intentional with how you do things. And that's something I think we'll maybe talk a little bit about that later. It also affects kind of the VC world too, right? I know of no VC really anymore who writes a blank check and says, here's some money, go have fun.
Yeah, I mean, no, it's
Right?
a lot harder to get money now. You really have to have people using your product now.
Correct.
Versus like an idea on a napkin that you could have.
Correct. You have to have, this more than an idea on a napkin. You've got to have a very clear pathway from maybe a pilot or two to a product that people have actually told you they would pay money for.
Exactly.
Right? There's
Yeah,
a
which is really hard to get to, like without any money. So
yes, right.
well, the ecosystem can help you.
That's exactly what I was going to say. This is where the ecosystem, and I know, next week we'll hear from a whole bunch of VC firms that I can't wait to hear from. I know they've been on your breaks before. Aperture Venture Capital, changing the landscape for venture capital, changing what it means to work with founders and providing that ecosystem to them, right? Yeah. Thinking about how we support our founders so that they don't feel isolated, right?
Exactly. No, I'm really excited to continue this specific conversation, but you guys will have to either come to the event or watch on demand later, because I want to ask Christine now about some challenges that you faced in really advancing photonics technologies, or maybe some challenges that you face in advising startups, which I'm sure the second one is like so many challenges, but maybe you could talk a little bit about photonics, and maybe if some people are not familiar with that, maybe you could just tell us a little bit of what that means exactly.
Sure. And, it's funny because I'd not heard the word photonics for a very long time. And then I suddenly found myself building a photonics innovation ecosystem up here.
Yeah,
I'm based, right, right. Like it's a little, so I'm based at Princeton University, which Anna mentioned before, but Advancing Photonics Technologies actually incorporates a whole slew of partners, a whole consortium. Rowan University is also part of our work, Rutgers University, Nokia Bell Labs. So when we think about kind of the, Titan, actually they're celebrating 100 years in business this year. So there's a whole bunch of, a whole bunch of great celebrations to be had. Um, Photonics is, so let's just kind of set the stage here. Photonics is the manipulation, the application of photons, right? So it is anything that the light touches. And I know we're all thinking of Lion King now and that like immortal scene from the Lion King, but truly, because it's manipulating light, it enables pretty much everything: cybersecurity, ag tech, food tech, aerospace, right? AI, physical AI, national security, consumer tech. We said earlier that our TV screens are photonics, right? It enables everything. And because of that, if you kind of invest in photonics, you're actually kind of compounding your return a bit. It's that same portfolio management theory, right? You're getting a little piece of everything. And so you're enabling everything. We tend to focus on several core areas that are highly relevant to, I think, where our world is today. So energy efficiency, right? When we think about kind of all the AI and the breadth of, I mean, it sounds like every other minute there's some announcement about ChatGPT. What are we on, 5, 6, 10? I don't know, right? Like,
or a new model coming out,
a new
or something
model,
better,
right?
DeepSeek,
Deep
Mistral AI, all of
Deep.
these, yeah.
You all have to come next week because we're going to talk about DeepSeek a little bit and like ethics and surveillance and all that, right? But let me get back to kind of the focus areas here. Energy efficiency, right? ChatGPT, every time it writes a 100-word email, it guzzles a bottle of water. So let's correlate that to energy. Where are we going to get all this energy from? We see big players like Microsoft turning to nuclear energy, but in the photonic space, if you can capture the energy of a photon rather than an electron, you're taking almost quantum leaps forward, right? You are powering more things, right? There's more power and it's more efficient and therefore it's lower cost.
Right.
Right. So that's kind of one big focus area for us. Another big focus area is optical sensors. Think of everything that we are intaking right now. This would not be possible without photonics, right? There's a camera on my computer that is capturing data in real time and somehow getting that to an audience and to us. That's right. This is photonics here, here at work. LiDAR, right? Self-driving cars. I was in San Francisco a couple weeks ago for Photonics West. I rode a Waymo for the first time. That's all photonics, right? Now, what the data, my life now is dependent on how good those sensors are at taking in that data, right? Advanced materials and optical components, right? Designing, manufacturing, precision manufacturing, right? Packaging, deploying these complex materials that really create the chips that power our devices, new sensing platforms, 3D manufactured structures. These are kind of our core focus areas, and the applications, as we said earlier, are enormous.
Yeah, no, it sounds like it. And what about some opportunities for integration with AI? Maybe, maybe we can end on that note.
Maybe I can end on that note. I think we're in a world right now where we are drowning in information, right? There is so much information everywhere. It is going to come down to that interface between the software, the AI, right? And Next Coast Ventures, does a lot of great investing in this space, and they're keeping a really good pulse on all of those excellent kind of software coding, AI focused ventures. The interface of that with then the hard tech. And that's what the photonics is. It's the hard tech, right? It's the optical components. It's the chips that power our devices. we have a great future ahead, that is actually right here, right in our world, a great future ahead to think about how the space between kind of the software and the hardware. What does that look like? How are we capturing the data we need to create the future? And that's what really excites me about photonics.
Yeah, no, that's super exciting to me too. So thank you so much for sharing. And I'm really excited to continue this conversation with you next week because we're going to see each other. And it's been about a year since we've seen each other.
It
So
has been, yes.
amazing to catch up, and we'll keep it more frequent. I'll see you in New York too. We'll make sure to do that. And if you guys are enjoying this topic and you want to join us next week, we are almost sold out. I think we might be sold out, but you could still apply to attend. And if there's some, we definitely give away some tickets to women and really interesting individuals who would want to join the conversation. So definitely make sure to apply. And we have some really Christina's going to be moderating several keynote panels. We have a startup showcase with 4 really awesome startups. And the first day is going to be all about really the practice and actually using the stuff in the enterprise. So yeah, we'll see you guys there. Thanks for tuning in and have a wonderful rest of the weekend. Bye.
Bye, everyone.